The night was quiet in Athens, but somewhere between the shadows and the city lights, a soft thump echoed through the air, the sound of a worn basketball hitting cracked concrete. Giannis Antetokounmpo stopped mid-step. He had just finished visiting a youth gym, but what he saw in that dark alley pulled him back to where it all began. A boy, maybe 11, practicing alone under a dying streetlight. His shoes were ripped, his hands red from the cold, but his eyes, they were alive. When the boy missed a shot, he whispered to himself, "I'll get it right when someone believes in me." Giannis smiled sadly. "Then let me believe first," he said. And destiny shifted that night. Athens had a way of holding memories in its corners. Laughter, pain, echoes of people who once dreamed beneath its flickering lights. For Giannis Antetokounmpo, every visit home felt like a quiet pilgrimage. The markets, the cracked courts, the smell of roasted corn on the sidewalks, everything reminded him of what hunger once felt like. Not just hunger for food, but for purpose, for belonging. That evening, after running a youth basketball clinic, he could have gone straight to his car and disappeared into the safety of anonymity. But fate has strange timing. That soft sound, a ball bouncing against stone, stopped him. And when he saw the boy, small and determined, practicing alone in the dark, something deep inside him woke up. The boy's name was Nikos, and he didn't flinch when Giannis approached. Maybe because in that moment he wasn't seeing a global icon. He was seeing another survivor of the streets. They talked. The boy's story was painfully familiar. A single mother cleaning cafes at night, an empty fridge, and a dream that refused to die. As Giannis listened, he realized he wasn't meeting a stranger. He was meeting his reflection from years ago. The same shoes with tape, the same fear of being forgotten, the same silent promise. "I'll make it, no matter what." That night didn't end with a photo or an autograph. It ended with something greater, a spark. Giannis went home and didn't sleep. He sat by the window, staring at the streetlights, remembering how they used to flicker outside his own childhood apartment. He knew then that this encounter wasn't coincidence. It was a reminder, a calling. Because sometimes the world doesn't need another hero on a billboard. It needs someone who remembers the dark and decides to bring back the light. The night air in Athens felt heavier than usual. That mix of diesel fumes, rain, and city dust that clung to your skin. The narrow streets shimmered with puddles reflecting the last glow of a dying day. Giannis walked alone, hoodie pulled over his head, the sound of his sneakers echoing softly off the walls. He had just left a small gym near Sapolia, the neighborhood where he grew up, where kids still practiced with torn nets and uneven balls. He'd gone there quietly, without a press team, without sponsors, just Giannis and the place that had raised him when the world didn't even know his name. He'd spent the afternoon teaching layups, footwork, and balance. But what he really wanted to teach was something deeper. That greatness isn't built in the light. It's built in the dark. As he turned the corner toward his car, something faint cut through the silence. Thump, thump, thump. The familiar rhythm of a basketball bouncing against concrete. He frowned. The gym was closed. The kids were long gone. Yet, there it was. That lonely echo coming from an alleyway behind the old supermarket. He followed the sound. The alley was dimly lit by a single flickering streetlight. Beneath it stood a boy, maybe 11, maybe 12, wearing clothes 2 sizes too big. His ball was worn to the fabric, its logo long gone. He dribbled with both hands, switching, losing control, picking it up again, undeterred. Giannis watched in silence. The boy wasn't just practicing, he was surviving. Each dribble carried something raw, like anger and hope fighting in rhythm. Then, after missing a makeshift shot at a cracked window frame, the boy muttered something so soft Giannis almost didn't catch it. "I'll get it right when someone believes in me." The words hit Giannis harder than any block he'd ever taken. He stepped forward, the sound of his footsteps making the boy freeze. "Mind if I believe first?" Giannis said gently. The boy spun around, His eyes widened, then disbelief flooded his face. You're Giannis," he stammered. Giannis smiled faintly. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just someone who knows what it's like to shoot at broken windows." The boy's shoulders dropped, tension melting into awe. "I didn't think anyone came here anymore." Giannis glanced around, crumbling walls, graffiti, a stray cat crossing the alley. Sometimes the best players are born where nobody's watching. The boy laughed shyly, and that sound, fragile, hopeful, reminded Giannis of his brothers when they were kids, playing barefoot on the same cracked asphalt. "What's your name?" he asked. "Nikos," the boy said. "Nikos Papadakis." Giannis nodded. "All right, Nikos, show me your shot." The boy hesitated, then took a deep breath, dribbled, and launched the ball. It hit the edge of the window and rolled into the shadows. He sighed. Giannis chuckled. "Again? I keep missing," Nikos said quietly. Giannis crouched beside him, lowering his voice. "You only miss if you stop shooting." That line hung in the air, heavy, timeless, true. They practiced together under that broken light. For 20 minutes, no fame, no cameras, no crowd, just two souls chasing something invisible. And when the ball finally sank through the frame, Nikos gasped in disbelief. Giannis clapped softly. "See? You didn't need a hoop. You just needed belief." As they walked out of the alley, Giannis noticed the boy's shoes. Split soles, tape across the toes. It was like looking back in time. He reached into his gym bag and pulled out a ball, clean, new, shining faintly under the light. "Here," he said. The boy shook his head. "No, that's yours." Giannis crouched again, meeting his eyes. "Then let's say it's ours." The boy smiled. A small, trembling smile that lit up the night. And in that moment, under that flickering lamp, something invisible passed between them. The kind of promise the universe remembers. When Giannis got home that night, he didn't sleep. He stared at the city from his apartment window, watching the lights fade one by one until only darkness remained. That's when he realized the truth. Sometimes the world doesn't go dark because the lights break. It goes dark because people stop lighting them. He whispered to himself almost like a prayer. "Tomorrow, I'll turn the lights back on." The next morning, the streets of Athens glimmered with sunlight, warm, golden, and indifferent. The city woke up as it always did, impatient, noisy, unaware that somewhere in its maze of concrete and chaos, something had quietly shifted the night before. Giannis couldn't stop replaying that moment. The look in Nikos's eyes, that line, "I'll get it right when someone believes in me." It haunted him in the best and worst way. He had once whispered the same thing to himself years ago, in the same streets, when he sold sunglasses to strangers while dreaming of sneakers he couldn't afford. He picked up his phone, opening the Notes app. He typed one sentence, "Belief starts with showing up." Then he smiled, because that's exactly what he was about to do again. Giannis parked near the alley from the night before. The morning light revealed things the darkness had hidden. The peeling walls, the trash bins, the chalk markings on the wall that Nikos used as a scoreboard. It was crude but alive, just like the boy himself. He didn't see Nikos at first, and for a moment he worried that maybe it had all been a dream, a metaphor his heart had invented. But then, from behind a pile of crates, a familiar sound. Thump, thump, thump. There he was. Same ball, same rhythm. The difference? The boy's face now carried a small flicker of confidence. "Nikos!" Giannis called out. The boy froze, then ran over, his smile too big for his face. "You came back? I said it was our ball, didn't I?" Giannis grinned. "You thought I was joking?" The boy laughed, still half in disbelief. "I didn't think people like you come back." Giannis paused. "People like me?" "Famous people, rich people." He crouched down, looking the boy straight in the eyes. "Then maybe it's time someone changed what famous means." They played for a while, one-on-one on cracked asphalt. Giannis let the boy win a few times, just to see that burst of joy. But between the laughter and the shots, he noticed something else. The way Nikos ran awkwardly, how he'd hesitate every time he landed. "You okay?" Giannis asked. Nikos shrugged. "It's the shoes. The right one's splitting." He lifted his foot. The sole hung loose, revealing skin through the tear. Tape barely held it together. Giannis's chest tightened. The memory hit him like a punch. His own taped shoes, the ones he'd worn until the rubber burned through. The way his mother used to say, "Run anyway." He took off his own sneakers, the clean pair he'd worn that morning, simple white with a blue Nike swoosh. He knelt, placed them in front of the boy. "Try these." Nikos blinked. "No, they're too nice. I'll ruin them." "That's the point," Giannis said softly. "Shoes are meant to move, to chase something." The boy hesitated, then slipped them on. They were too big, but he grinned anyway. "They feel like flying." Giannis laughed. "Then fly, Nikos." For the next hour, laughter filled the alley. A few neighbors peeked from their windows, whispering in disbelief. One old man even crossed himself, muttering, "That's the NBA guy. With the kid?" By noon, Giannis knew he couldn't leave things like this. He called his brother Thanasis. "Remember the courts near Kypsili? The ones with no lights?" Thanasis groaned. "The ones we almost broke our ankles on?" "Those," Giannis replied. "We're going to fix them." There was silence on the line. Then Thanasis's voice softened. "You found another version of us, didn't you?" Giannis smiled faintly. "Yeah, his name's Nikos." That afternoon, Giannis sat with his brothers and a small team from the Antetokounmpo's academy, sketching plans on napkins. No PR, no sponsors yet, just an idea. They would restore every broken court in Athens, starting with the one near Sepolia, because one boy's broken shoes had reminded him what broken dreams looked like. And this time, he had the power to fix both. That night, before sleeping, Giannis scrolled through old photos, him and his brothers playing barefoot, laughing under flickering lamps. He realized that for every success story like his, there were hundreds of Nikosis still out there, unseen and unheard. He whispered into the dark, "Let's bring light where no one's looking." In another part of the city, Nikos placed the old torn shoes on his nightstand like trophies. His mother peeked into the room, confused to see her son sleeping with a smile. She didn't know that tonight, her boy didn't dream of escaping Athens. He dreamed of rebuilding it. The sound of drills and hammers echoed through the narrow streets of Sepolia. It wasn't music, but to Giannis it felt like a symphony. For the first time in years, the broken court behind the old grocery store was alive again. The Antetokounmpo brothers stood side by side, sleeves rolled up, shovels in hand. There were no news cameras, no reporters, only dust, sweat, and the promise of something new. Children gathered at the fences, watching curiously as the cracked asphalt was torn up. "Is this really happening?" one boy whispered. Another answered, "They said it's Giannis's project. He's building a court here again." The rumor spread fast. Within days, word reached the city officials, and not everyone was pleased. Giannis had learned long ago that changing a scoreboard was easier than changing a system. When he requested permits to rebuild the court, the local administration hesitated. "You can't just build on city property without coordination," one official told him. Giannis leaned forward in his chair. "Then coordinate with me." The man chuckled nervously. "Mr. Antetokounmpo, I understand your intention, but Athens has regulations, budgets, procedures." Giannis interrupted quietly. "And while those procedures take years, kids are growing up without places to play, without hope. You understand that too?" Silence. The official didn't answer, but the next morning Giannis received a letter stamped, "Under review." He smiled. "That's progress," he said. While bureaucracy moved slowly, Giannis didn't. He and Thanasis bought the materials themselves. Neighborhood men joined in, some of them remembering when the Antetokounmpo brothers had been just barefoot kids chasing balls between parked cars. Women from nearby apartments brought sandwiches and coffee. Nikos showed up every morning, helping carry bricks, refusing to rest even when Giannis insisted. "I want to earn it," he said. His voice carried a maturity beyond his age. Giannis saw himself in that boy more each day, the same hunger, the same silence between words. One afternoon, a journalist appeared uninvited, camera in hand. "Giannis, what's the name of this project?" he asked eagerly. Giannis looked at the cracked walls, the faint graffiti, the half-built court that still smelled of dust and effort. "Right now," he said, smiling faintly, "it's called Hope. When it's finished, maybe we'll give it a name." The journalist chuckled, not realizing that hope wasn't just a metaphor. It was the foundation itself. The first night the lights turned on, no one spoke. They all just stared. The neighbors, the kids, even Giannis. The court glowed under solar lamps that shimmered like stars against the dark sky. For the first time in decades, that corner of Sepolia wasn't hidden in shadow. Giannis bounced a ball once. The echo filled the air. "You hear that?" he asked Nikos. "That's what possibility sounds like." They played until midnight, until the lamps began to flicker. Giannis looked up. The power grid was weak here, always unreliable. The lights dimmed, then shut off completely. Darkness again. He heard Nikos sigh. "It's like the city doesn't want us to have light." Giannis knelt down beside him. "Then we'll build our own." That sentence, said in the dark, meant for one boy, became the heartbeat of what was to come. In the days that followed, social media caught fire with photos of the glowing court. People called it the Court of Shadows. Kids from nearby districts began showing up. They played past curfew, laughing, shouting, living. But for every cheer, there were critics too. Some said Giannis was trying to make himself a hero. Others accused him of ignoring the real issues. He read every headline, every tweet. Then he turned off his phone and went back to work. Because real change never starts with applause. It starts with blisters. One evening, as he locked up the new facility, an elderly man approached him. "My grandson plays here now," he said. "He sleeps better at night, so do I." Giannis smiled softly. That's all I needed to hear. That night, Nikos stayed late again, shooting hoops under the new lights. Giannis stood at a distance, watching silently. For the first time, he didn't see the boy from the alley. He saw a player, confident, graceful, full of future. He whispered to himself, "This is what light does. It changes what you see." And in the quiet hum of the street lamps, Athens seemed to breathe differently, as if remembering what hope felt like. The first article appeared on a Tuesday morning. Giannis builds court for poor kids in Athens. Within hours, every sports site had picked it up. Cameras arrived. So did reporters, politicians, and influencers who had never once set foot in Sepolia. The same place that had been ignored for decades was suddenly the backdrop for headlines and hashtags. Giannis stood quietly as they filmed him. He smiled for the photos, shook hands, and answered questions he'd heard 100 times before. Why here? Why now? Is this part of a brand campaign? What's the message behind your foundation's new project? He replied calmly, "It's not a message. It's a memory." They didn't understand. They never really did. That afternoon, the noise followed him everywhere. Notifications, interviews, praise, criticism. Some called him a hero. Others accused him of chasing publicity. A few even said the courts would attract the wrong kind of kids. Giannis read every comment in silence, scrolling through the contradictions of fame. Then, as he looked up from his phone, he saw Nikos playing in the distance, barefoot again, his new shoes drying from the rain. He was laughing with other kids, unbothered by the world's noise. Giannis exhaled slowly. That laughter cut through everything. He turned off his phone, and just like that, the noise was gone. For the next few weeks, Giannis refused all interviews. He spent his days at the courts, helping paint lines, lifting benches, tightening screws. When people recognized him, he simply waved and kept working. One afternoon, a cameraman asked, "Giannis, do you have a quote for the press?" He didn't even look up. "Yes," he said. "Let the court speak." The man chuckled awkwardly, thinking it was a joke. But later that night, when the court filled with kids playing under soft golden light, the cameras caught something no headline could describe: the sound of joy echoing through the streets of a city that had forgotten how to dream. That became the story. Not Giannis, not fame, just laughter and light. Still, not everyone wanted to see it succeed. A city council member demanded the project be suspended until formal agreements were signed. Others claimed the lighting installation violated regulations. Giannis attended the hearing himself. He didn't bring lawyers or PR agents, just his voice and his conviction. When the councilman questioned his intentions, Giannis leaned forward. "I grew up in this neighborhood. I sold watches outside those gates. I know every crack in that court because my feet made them. You can shut down paperwork, sir, but you can't shut down hope." The room fell silent. Even the official lowered his gaze, shuffling his papers without replying. Outside the building, reporters surrounded him. "Giannis, what's your plan now?" He smiled faintly. "To listen." "To whom?" one shouted. "To the silence," he said, and walked away. That night he returned to the court long after midnight. The lamps hummed quietly. Athens slept, but this place breathed. He sat on the bench, hands clasped, eyes lifted to the dim lights. In the distance, Nikos practiced alone again. Giannis watched. The same rhythm, the same hunger, the same determination. But this time it wasn't just one boy. Around him, half a dozen kids practiced too, inspired by his presence. It hit Giannis then. This was no longer his project. It was theirs. He whispered under his breath, "When you do something right, it stops belonging to you." In the following days, something unexpected began to happen. Kids from neighboring districts started repainting their own broken courts, using leftover paint from Sepolia. A group of teenagers even built makeshift hoops out of scrap metal. They called it the Light Movement. Within weeks, the idea spread, through Instagram posts, TikTok clips, and whispers between schools. What began as one small court was now a growing network of lights across Athens. Giannis didn't organize it. He didn't control it. He simply watched, humbled. He realized the truth. Silence wasn't the absence of noise. It was the presence of meaning. That night, before leaving, he found Nikos asleep on the bench, his old shoes beside him, the new ones neatly placed on the ground. Giannis covered him with his jacket, smiling. The world might still be loud with judgment, but here, in this corner of Athens, everything finally made sense. When dawn came, the court in Sepolia was still glowing faintly, dew clinging to the rims and the backboards like tiny beads of silver. Giannis arrived early and found Nikos sleeping against the fence, the boy's head resting on his ball. He didn't wake him. He simply stood there and watched the first rays of sun paint the floor they'd rebuilt together. It was no longer a secret corner of Athens. It was a spark. That week, videos of children playing beneath those new lights swept across Greece. A fisherman from Patras shared one, then a teacher from Thessaloniki, then a journalist from Crete. Within days, people began calling it the Light Project. Not a slogan, just a feeling everyone understood. Giannis had never planned a movement, but movements rarely ask for permission. He began receiving messages from cities he hadn't visited in years. "Could we build one here? Could you send volunteers?" Giannis read them all, heart full but cautious. He didn't want this to become about fame or funding. He wanted it to stay human, one court, one street, one heartbeat at a time. He called his brothers together. Thanasis laughed. "You realize, if we keep saying yes, we'll rebuild half of Greece." Giannis smiled. "Then let's start with half." Money came slowly, but help came fast. Electricians offered free labor. Retired players donated equipment. Mothers brought food to workers, and everywhere they went, the same scene repeated. A forgotten neighborhood, a cracked surface, and children watching from behind fences as if waiting for proof that someone still cared. Giannis worked beside them, carrying lumber, wiping sweat, sometimes in silence. He wasn't a celebrity here, just Giannis from Cipolla again. He told the kids stories of selling sunglasses, of playing with no hoop, of his mother's quiet courage. And each time he ended the same way. Don't wait for the world to give you permission to shine. But light attracts attention and shadows. Large corporations began calling, offering sponsorships and naming rights. Giannis light courts presented by. The idea made him uneasy. He declined them all. When his agent asked why, Giannis answered softly, "Because the light doesn't belong to me." The press, confused by his refusal, began questioning his motives. Was he hiding a political agenda? Was it just another PR stunt? Giannis ignored the noise again. He had learned that light and fame were not the same thing. One illuminated, the other blinded. Still, the pressure grew. He received a call from Milwaukee. The Bucks management reminded him of off-season commitments, interviews, sponsorships. He promised he'd return soon, but his mind was still in Athens. He knew this was bigger than basketball. This was his home asking to heal. One evening, in a newly lit court in Thessaloniki, he saw a group of teenage girls practicing layups. They moved with focus and laughter, wearing mismatched jerseys, their joy pure. He asked one of them where they trained before this court. She shrugged. In the parking lot. He nodded quietly. That simple answer told him everything. He looked up at the floodlights, bright against the night sky, and whispered, "We'll keep going." News soon reached across borders. A youth coach in Serbia messaged him, "Your project inspired us, we're lighting our courts too." Then another from Kenya, another from Brazil. Giannis read those messages late at night, realizing that what began as an act of memory had become a global rhythm of empathy. Light had no language, no passport, only purpose. Yet, beneath the glow, Giannis felt something else stirring, a quiet doubt. The more light they spread, the more people looked at him. He feared the world might forget the boy who started it all. Nikos had been avoiding cameras lately, overwhelmed by attention. Giannis decided it was time to remind everyone what truly mattered. He called a small press gathering, not at a stadium, but back at the first court in Cipolla. No stage, no banners. Just him, Nikos, and the same streetlight that once flickered above the cracked concrete. Giannis spoke softly, his words carried by the night air. "This isn't my story. It's a story about every child who kept playing when no one was watching. If you ever feel unseen, look for the light, because maybe it's waiting for you to turn it on." Reporters lowered their cameras. For a moment, silence felt sacred again. That night, Nikos handed Giannis his old broken shoes. "Keep them," he said, "so you don't forget how it started." Giannis held them like relics. He didn't answer, just nodded, because he knew some memories speak louder when left unspoken. The envelope arrived on a gray morning, slipped under the door of Giannis's apartment in Athens. It was simple, official, no fanfare, just a logo in the corner, Milwaukee Bucks organization. He stared at it for a long time before opening it. Inside was a letter from the team's president, polite but pointed. "Giannis, we respect your devotion to your roots, but the season approaches. Your presence is essential. The sponsors are waiting. The world is watching." He folded the paper carefully and set it aside. The words were reasonable, even kind, but they pressed against something deeper inside him. How do you leave a city that's just learning to hope again? How do you trade hammers for headlines? That evening he drove to Cipolla. The streets buzzed with life. Kids playing, parents watching, music from open windows. The court glowed bright, even in the rain. Nikos spotted him from afar and ran over, drenched but smiling. "You're leaving, aren't you?" the boy asked bluntly. Giannis nodded slowly. "For a while, my season starts soon." Then who will fix the next one? The question hit harder than any defender ever had. Giannis knelt to meet his gaze. "You will," he said softly, "because this isn't mine anymore. It's yours now." Nikos looked down, silent. "But I don't have what you have." Giannis smiled gently. "Neither did I, until someone believed first." The next day, he packed his bags. His brothers helped load the car, teasing him like old times. "Don't forget us when you're famous again," Thanasis joked. Giannis grinned, but his heart felt heavy. The city he was leaving behind wasn't just Athens, it was the part of himself that still remembered hunger. The nights under streetlights, the echo of dreams too small for anyone to hear. Before heading to the airport, he made one last stop. The first court. The lights flickered softly, the rain painting silver streaks across the ground. He placed Nikos's old shoes under the bench, right where they'd first trained together. "Every court starts with a story," he whispered. "This one already has two." He turned to leave, but noticed something. A small group of teenagers sweeping the edges of the court, patching cracks with leftover cement. No one had told them to do it. They were simply continuing. And in that moment, Giannis knew the truth. Light didn't need supervision. It only needed belief. When his plane touched down in Milwaukee, cameras flashed the moment he stepped out. Reporters surrounded him instantly. "Giannis, how was your off-season? We saw the courts in Greece. Are you turning into a politician now? How does it feel to be back?" He smiled calmly. "Feels like I never left." But that night, in his apartment overlooking the city skyline, he couldn't sleep. He looked out at Milwaukee's lights, steady, perfect, too clean, and realized what was missing. Athens had flickered, imperfect and alive. These lights didn't tell stories. They just shone. He opened his laptop and began typing an email. It was addressed to the Antetokounmpo Foundation team. "Keep the project going. Expand to more cities. I'll cover whatever you need, but don't make it about me. Make it about them." He hesitated, then added one more line. "Send Nikos to Milwaukee next summer. He needs to see where dreams can go." Days turned into weeks. Training camp began, and the rhythm of the NBA swallowed him again. Practice, games, travel, interviews. Reporters asked about points and records, not poverty and purpose. Still, between flights, he checked his phone for updates. Photos of new courts in Crete, Thessaloniki, even Cyprus. One evening after a home win, Giannis sat alone in the locker room. Sweat dripped, crowd noise faded, and he scrolled through his messages until he found one that made him freeze. A photo, blurry but unmistakable. Nikos, now taller, holding a microphone at a school assembly beside a banner that read, "Light Believes." Below the image, a caption. "We opened our 5th court today. The kids said to tell you thank you, but also we don't need you to come back. We've got this." Giannis smiled, his eyes misting. That was the real victory, the kind that didn't fit on a scoreboard. As he left the arena that night, a young fan stopped him for an autograph. The boy handed him a small card and whispered, "I saw what you did in Greece. I'm starting a project here too." Giannis signed the card, placed a hand on the boy's shoulder and said, "Good. Just promise me one thing. Don't wait for permission." The boy nodded, wide-eyed. Walking away, Giannis realized something. The letter from Milwaukee had asked him to return to basketball, but life had quietly written him a different letter, one that said, "You've already started something that will outlive you." The summer came fast, and with it the hum of Milwaukee in bloom, festival lights, lake winds, children dribbling on clean asphalt. Giannis trained daily, but his mind still wandered back to Greece. Sometimes, between practices, he'd scroll through photos of the glowing courts scattered across Athens. Kids with taped balls and proud smiles, entire neighborhoods reborn in the half-light of dusk. One afternoon, his assistant handed him a small envelope with the Antetokounmpo Foundation seal. Inside was a single note, "He's coming." Giannis didn't need a name. He smiled instantly. 2 weeks later at the Milwaukee airport, he spotted Nikos at baggage claim. Taller, tanned, eyes still bright with that same unfiltered hunger. He was wearing the white sneakers Giannis had once given him, now faded but still intact. When their eyes met, the boy ran forward, arms wide, and hugged him. "You grew," Giannis said, laughing. "So did the courts," Nikos replied. "They're everywhere now." Giannis's smile faltered slightly. He saw something new in the boy. Confidence, purpose. This wasn't the shy kid from the alley anymore. This was a spark turned into fire. That evening, they walked together through downtown Milwaukee. Nikos kept looking up at the skyline, the glass towers glowing against the setting sun. "Everything looks perfect here," he said quietly. Giannis nodded. "It's beautiful, but perfection can be lonely. Athens was messy, but it breathed." Nikos frowned. "So what are we doing here?" Giannis pointed across the street where a small group of kids played basketball on a worn public court. One hoop had no net. The paint was chipped. "See that?" he said. "Even here, light can fade if no one guards it." The next day, they went back with a bag of tools. Just the two of them. Giannis held the ladder. Nikos replaced the net. People walking by stopped and stared. The NBA champion fixing a hoop with a teenager. Giannis only smiled and said, "You can't change the world from a distance." That video went viral overnight. But this time the story was different. The headlines didn't talk about fame. They talked about mentorship, about the boy from Athens now spreading light in another city. Days passed quickly. Nikos followed Giannis everywhere, to training, to charity dinners, to quiet moments in the gym before dawn. He absorbed everything, not just how Giannis played, but how he carried himself. One night after practice, Giannis sat with him in the empty arena. The seats stretched into darkness, the court lights glowing soft amber. "Why did you really bring me here?" Nikos asked. Giannis looked at the floor for a long time before answering. "Because every time I step on this court, I remember the boy who played in the dark. I needed to see what happens when he finally stands in the light." Nikos smiled shyly. "And what do you see now?" Giannis met his eyes. "A future I can trust." Weeks later, the Bucks hosted a community event for local youth. Giannis insisted Nikos speak to the crowd. The boy hesitated, hands trembling as he gripped the microphone. Cameras flashed, the murmur of hundreds of kids filled the air. "I'm not from here," he began. "I come from a place where we played basketball in the dark, where the light came from our dreams, not the lamps." He paused, his voice steadying. "But someone believed in me when I had nothing. And now I've learned that believing in others is how you keep the light alive." Applause erupted. Not polite applause, but raw, thunderous, genuine. Giannis watched from the sidelines, pride and humility blending into something wordless. That night, as the arena emptied, Nikos turned to him. "What now?" Giannis placed a hand on his shoulder. "Now you teach them, wherever you go." The following morning, Nikos received an email from the foundation, an invitation to become the youth ambassador for the Light Project. He would travel to new cities, share his story, help build new courts. He read it twice before looking at Giannis. "You did this, didn't you?" Giannis shook his head. "No, kid, you did. I just turned on the first lamp." Later that week, as Giannis watched Nikos play one-on-one with local kids, a reporter approached him. "You've inspired so many," the man said. "What drives you to keep doing this?" Giannis thought for a moment, eyes fixed on the boy laughing on the court. "When I was his age," he said softly, "I thought success meant trophies. But the truth is, success is when someone else doesn't need your help anymore." He smiled, eyes glistening. "And that boy doesn't need me anymore." The following months unfolded like a sunrise spreading across continents. Nikos traveled through cities he'd only seen on maps: Berlin, Madrid, Johannesburg. Everywhere he went, he carried the same beat-up backpack and the same purpose. The foundation had named him Youth Ambassador of the Light Project, but to the kids he met, He was just Nikos from Athens, the boy who once played under a dying street lamp. At each stop, he told his story, not as a miracle, but as a mirror. He spoke of the alley, of the broken shoes, of the night he met a stranger who refused to walk away. And somehow every crowd seemed to see themselves in that story. They cheered not for him, but for the possibility that maybe somewhere in their city, a flickering light was waiting too. In Milwaukee, Giannis followed his journey through videos and letters. Between games, he'd sit in the locker room, phone in hand, watching Nikos's speeches. One clip showed the boy kneeling to tie a child's torn sneakers before a match. Another showed him painting a backboard in Kenya with kids laughing all around. Giannis smiled softly every time. "He's better than I was," he told Thanasis one night after practice. His brother laughed. "That was the point, wasn't it?" Giannis nodded, staring at his reflection in the window. He saw the same boy he used to be, only now, the reflection was standing in arenas, not alleys. But in that success, a quiet ache remained. He had to learn the hardest part of all legacies, letting go. One evening, during a road trip, Giannis landed in Paris for a charity event. The city buzzed outside, but he preferred the stillness of his hotel balcony. Rain streaked the glass, and somewhere below, a group of teenagers played basketball under a streetlight. He couldn't see their faces, only their silhouettes. Yet their movements, wild, fearless, free, were the same rhythm he'd seen 100 times before. It struck him. This is how echoes work. You shout once, and the world keeps whispering your message long after your voice is gone. Weeks later, Nikos returned to Athens for a brief visit. The foundation planned a small ceremony at the first court in Sepolia, the birthplace of everything. Giannis couldn't attend. The Bucks were deep in the playoffs. Still, he sent a letter, handwritten and folded neatly. When Nikos took the stage, he read it aloud. "To the boy who practiced in the dark, you turned a spark into a sunrise. Remember, lights don't exist to be admired. They exist to be shared. Wherever you go next, don't chase brightness. Create it." The crowd fell silent, and then applause erupted. Not for Giannis, but for the young man standing before them, who now carried that torch without trembling. Later that night, after everyone had left, Nikos walked alone across the court. He stopped where the old cracks still faintly showed beneath the new paint. The wind carried distant laughter, kids playing somewhere nearby. He placed his hand on the ground and whispered, "We did it." Above him, the lamps flickered once, then steadied, glowing brighter as if to answer. At the same time, thousands of miles away, Giannis stood in an empty Milwaukee arena after a victory. The crowd had gone, the confetti swept away. He bounced a ball once, listening to its echo travel through the vast silence. It sounded almost like the bounce of a ball in an alley half a world away. The next morning, newspapers around the world carried headlines about the Light Project global expansion. Courts in 12 countries, scholarships for young athletes, partnerships with local communities. But for Giannis, it wasn't about the numbers. It was about the invisible thread, that one honest conversation in an alley that had now reached the corners of the earth. He remembered the night he'd told Nikos, "Maybe I'm just someone who used to shoot at broken windows too." Now he realized the truth. He wasn't fixing windows anymore, he was opening them. Later that evening, Giannis received a video message. It was from Nikos, standing on a court in South Africa, surrounded by kids cheering. The boy smiled into the camera. "Coach," he said. He still called him that. "You once told me light changes what you see, but sometimes it changes who you are." Giannis watched in silence, emotion swelling in his chest. He looked around the empty gym, the quiet hum of the lights above. For the first time, he didn't feel the need to say anything back. The echo had already answered. It started with a single message, short, sharp, and easy to ignore. "Power outage in Sepolia. The courts are dark." Giannis read it on his phone in the middle of a team flight. He almost dismissed it, assuming it was temporary. But then another message came, and another. Soon social media filled with photos, The once bright courts of Athens now shrouded in darkness, the solar lamps vandalized, equipment stolen, walls tagged with graffiti. The light project, the miracle that had united a city, was flickering again. He stared out the airplane window, the night clouds reflecting faint lightning. He whispered to himself, "Not again, not now." When the plane landed, he called the foundation's Athens director. "What happened?" "Some of the funding was cut," the man said nervously. "We depended on city maintenance and the new administration hasn't renewed support. The neighborhood's upset. Some people say we promised light and left shadows behind." Giannis closed his eyes. The words stung. Promised light, left shadows. He had worked so hard to avoid this, to make sure the project wasn't about him. But without him there, it had become vulnerable again. Fame could build attention, but only belief could build endurance, and belief, he realized, still needed tending. That night, while the rest of Milwaukee slept, Giannis sat on his balcony with a notebook. He drew maps of the courts, circled the ones affected, listed local contacts, sponsors, volunteers. Hours passed, pages filled. Finally, he stopped and exhaled deeply. "This isn't failure," he said softly. "It's a reminder." He called Nikos. The boy answered from a hotel in Johannesburg, his voice sleepy but steady. "I saw the news," he said. Giannis smiled weakly. "You always did see before I told you." "What do we do now?" Nikos asked. Giannis looked up at the dark sky. "We go back. Together." 3 days later, a private jet touched down in Athens. There were no press releases, no announcements. Giannis stepped off in plain clothes, cap low, Nikos beside him. They went straight from the airport to Sepolia. The sight broke his heart. The court that once glowed like dawn now lay in silence. One of the hoops was bent. The mural of kids laughing had been spray-painted over with the word, "Forgotten." Giannis crouched, touching the cracked pavement. It was cold under his fingers. "They're angry," Nikos said quietly. "They're hurt," Giannis corrected. "People lose hope faster than they lose light." He stood up, his voice low but firm. "Let's show them it still burns." They gathered volunteers, old faces, new faces, anyone willing to work. Word spread fast. Giannis is back. Some came to help. Others came just to see if he really would. By afternoon, dozens were sweeping, repainting, reconnecting wires. Giannis climbed a ladder himself, fixing the last lamp. "No cameras," he told his team. "If this light comes back, it should come back quietly." When the final bulb flickered to life, the crowd gasped. The glow wasn't perfect, uneven, trembling, but it was enough. Nikos turned to him. "It's smaller than before." Giannis smiled. "So is a candle. But a candle can start a sunrise." That night, he called the other cities connected to the project. "We're not rebuilding just courts," he told them. "We're rebuilding trust." They launched a week-long initiative. Community cleanups, free meals, workshops. Not sponsored, not branded, just people coming together under the same promise, to keep the lights alive. The press eventually found out, of course. But by then, the work had already been done. Reporters came expecting a spectacle. Instead, they found Giannis painting fences, Nikos teaching kids free throws, and grandmothers serving food to volunteers. One journalist asked, "Why return to something the world already applauded?" Giannis wiped his hands and said, "Because applause doesn't last, but light does, if you keep feeding it." When the courts finally shone fully again, they decided to hold no ceremony. Instead, they simply left the lamps on through the night. From the hills above Athens, the glow looked like constellations, dots of gold stitched into the city's fabric. Giannis and Nikos stood side by side, silent. "Do you think they'll stay on this time?" the boy asked. Giannis looked at him, then at the skyline. "No light stays on forever. That's not its job. Its job is to remind us where the switch is." The next morning, local papers ran a quiet headline. No speeches, no sponsors, just light. And under it, a photo. Giannis and Nikos, faces hidden by shadow, the glow of the court behind them. They didn't need to be seen. The city had remembered how to see itself. The roar of an NBA arena is nothing like the noise of the streets of Athens. One is designed, amplified, perfectly synchronized. The other is raw, chaotic, human. Giannis had lived in both worlds. And now, after months rebuilding the light of his home city, he was back under the bright lights of Milwaukee, brighter than ever, but somehow colder. As he jogged onto the court, the crowd chanted his name. Cameras flashed, commentators praised his numbers, and children held signs that read, "Greek Freak Forever." Yet when he glanced up at the Jumbotron, watching his own highlight reel explode across the screen, something inside him whispered, "This isn't the game that matters most anymore." That night, the Bucks played one of their toughest rivals. Giannis dominated, 40 points, 18 rebounds, and a victory that shook the arena. But as he walked to the locker room, towel around his neck, his mind was miles away. Between the crowd's cheers, he could almost hear another rhythm, a ball bouncing in an alley under a flickering light. A journalist caught up to him near the tunnel. "Giannis, you're on track for another MVP season. How do you keep doing it?" He stopped, eyes calm. "Because I stopped playing for something," he said softly. "Now I play from something." The reporter frowned. "What does that mean?" Giannis smiled. "It means my story didn't start in an arena. And it won't end here either." Then he disappeared into the tunnel's darkness, leaving the crowd roaring behind him. Over the next few weeks, interviews began focusing on his foundation again. ESPN aired a segment on the Light Project's rebirth, showing clips of Athens glowing once more. Millions watched Nikos, now a young man teaching kids how to dribble, his laughter echoing across cracked courts that now felt sacred. Fans saw it as charity, but those who listened closely understood this wasn't philanthropy, it was homecoming. During a post-game interview, a reporter asked, "Giannis, you've built courts, helped thousands, but what's next?" He paused, towel draped over his shoulders, eyes distant. "What's next?" he repeated. "Teaching others to play beyond the game." That phrase, "beyond the game," stuck. It became a movement slogan, adopted by fans, schools, even NBA campaigns. But for Giannis, it wasn't marketing. It was a quiet truth. He began mentoring young players on his team, not about scoring or fame, but about life. He'd tell them, if basketball is all you have, then the day you lose it, you lose yourself. But if you use it to light someone else's path, you'll never be in the dark again. The younger players listened differently after that. They saw him not just as a star, but as a guide, someone who had walked through shadows and came back carrying fire. Off the court, Giannis launched a new initiative, Courts Without Borders, a partnership connecting underprivileged youth from Milwaukee to the kids of Athens. The goal wasn't just sports, it was empathy. Children from both sides of the ocean wrote letters, shared videos, exchanged jerseys. In one clip, a boy from Wisconsin held up a sign that read, "To the kids in Athens, your light reached us." Giannis watched it late at night, alone in the film room. He turned off the screen and whispered, "That's the win that matters." Months later, the NBA held an awards gala. Giannis sat among polished suits and glittering trophies. When they announced his name for the Community Impact Award, the crowd erupted. He stood up slowly, walked to the stage, and stared at the shining statue in his hands. He smiled, then set it gently on the podium. "I used to think greatness was something you could hold," he said, voice steady. "But it's not. It's something you pass on. To the next kid who's playing barefoot, to the next mother who stays up praying, to the next city waiting for a little light." The room was silent. Cameras flashed, but no one moved. "Basketball gave me everything," he continued. "But the greatest game I ever played started the night I stopped playing for myself." He stepped back, no applause yet. Just that heavy, sacred pause when truth lands on every heart. Then the crowd stood, slow, powerful, not for the trophy, but for the man who had turned fame into faith. Later that night, He found a quiet corner backstage and texted Nikos. Giannis, they gave me an award tonight. Nikos, you earned it. Giannis, no, we earned it. Every light, every court, every kid. That's the real trophy. He slipped the phone into his pocket and looked at his reflection in the dark glass. For the first time, the man looking back at him wasn't chasing something. He was keeping it alive. The morning after the gala, Milwaukee felt unusually still. The city's rhythm had paused, as if catching its breath after a long applause. Giannis stood by his window, coffee in hand, watching the skyline burn gold in the sunrise. On the table behind him, the award from the night before sat untouched, its shine too shallow compared to what lived in his mind. He wasn't thinking about speeches or headlines. He was thinking about the faces, the boys in Sapolia, the girls in Thessaloniki, the children in Kenya. The light had spread so far that he could no longer count how many courts existed. And maybe that was the beauty of it, the unknowability of impact. When he turned from the window, his phone buzzed, a message from Nikos. We're building a new one, but this time, it's not a court. Giannis frowned, intrigued. He called instantly. What do you mean, not a court? On the other end, Nikos laughed. A library, coach, a light room, a place for kids who want to study, read, dream. We thought, maybe it's time to light minds, not just courts. Giannis's silence said everything. The sound of quiet pride filled the space between them. That afternoon, he called his brothers to the training facility. Thanasis, Kostas, and Alex listened as Giannis outlined his next move. The Light Network, a global initiative connecting sports, education, and mentorship. Basketball was our bridge, he said. Now it's time to build roads. They nodded, understanding instantly. Because when Giannis spoke like that, it wasn't ambition. It was conviction carved from memory. Over the next months, plans formed quickly. New partnerships in Europe, Africa, and the US. Programs teaching kids not only how to dribble, but how to dream. How to manage money, create ideas, and see life beyond the scoreboard. Nikos became the face of the project's youth division, traveling the world to train future mentors. His speeches carried the same rhythm Giannis once had, humble, hopeful, unpretentious. He often said, "The light doesn't follow us, we follow it." And people listened. But even as the legacy grew, Giannis felt the weight of time pressing closer. He wasn't old, but his body carried stories of every fall, every collision, every night of sacrifice. During one quiet practice, he paused mid-drill, feeling the familiar ache in his knees. He smiled to himself. Everything has a season, he thought. Even light must rest sometimes. He walked off the court and sat on the bench, towel over his head, listening to the distant echo of bouncing balls, the sound of youth chasing what he once did. It didn't make him sad. It made him proud. Months later, Nikos arrived in Milwaukee for a surprise visit. He found Giannis in the training gym, alone, shooting free throws in silence. Still practicing? He teased. Giannis chuckled. Still learning. Nikos tossed him a new ball, its surface covered in signatures, names of kids from every country they'd reached. On one side, in bold black ink, it read, "For the man who turned darkness into direction." Giannis turned it slowly in his hands, his throat tightening. He looked at Nikos. "This is your doing?" Nikos shook his head. "No, coach. This is ours. You lit the match. We became the fire." Later that evening, they sat on the arena steps, the city lights stretching before them. Giannis broke the silence first. "You know, people always talk about legacy like it's something you leave behind." He glanced at Nikos. "But what if it's something that keeps walking after you stop?" Nikos smiled. "Then yours is already running." Giannis laughed, that deep, humble laugh that always sounded like gratitude. "Good. Because one day I want to watch from the stands and see what you build next." Weeks passed, and the Light Network launched officially. Documentaries aired, world leaders praised it. But Giannis stayed quiet, refusing interviews. When asked why, he simply said, "Light doesn't need volume, it just needs direction." From Milwaukee to Madrid, from Nairobi to Naples, new chapters opened. The Light Room, the Light Academy, courts beyond borders. The Foundation's motto changed once more. We don't chase fame, we chase tomorrow. Giannis watched the first broadcast of Nikos inaugurating the new library in Athens. The boy, now a man, stood in front of hundreds of kids and said, "The night I met Giannis, I thought he gave me shoes, but he actually gave me sight." Tears welled quietly in Giannis's eyes as he whispered to himself, "That's what legacy sounds like, when someone else tells your story better than you ever could." That night, long after the cameras had turned off, Giannis went for a walk under the Milwaukee streetlights. He passed a small public court, a modest one with a single lamp humming above it. A boy, maybe 10, was shooting alone. Giannis stopped, smiled, and called out, "Mind if I believe first?" The boy froze, confused, then grinned when he recognized him. It was a perfect echo of a memory long ago, one that had started it all. The morning was quiet in Milwaukee. Snow fell softly against the windows of Giannis's home, each flake catching the first light of dawn. The city still slept, but he was already awake. Sitting in his kitchen, a single lamp on, his hands wrapped around a mug of coffee gone cold. In front of him lay a small wooden box. Inside it, an old basketball, a faded photo of his family in Sepolia, and a pair of torn shoes, Nikos's shoes, the ones he had once placed under the bench years ago. He ran his fingers over the cracked rubber, smiling. Time had softened everything, the applause, the trophies, the headlines, but this still burned. Giannis had always carried weight. The weight of expectation, of history, of being the Greek freak, of being more than a player. For years, he believed strength was about holding that weight, never letting it crush him. But now, as he watched the snow melt on the glass, he understood something truer. Strength wasn't about how much he could carry. It was about what he could let go of. He stood up, walked to the window, and whispered, "It's time." That afternoon, the Bucks hosted their final home game of the regular season. The arena was electric, thousands chanting his name. Yet behind his calm smile, Giannis carried a quiet peace, the kind that comes when a journey finds its ending. After the final buzzer, he stayed on the court alone. No reporters, no ceremony. Just him, the echo of the crowd fading like a heartbeat slowing down. He walked to center court and placed his hand over the logo. All the memories came rushing back. The alley in Athens, the cracked window hoop, Nikos's first shot, the laughter of the children when the lights came on for the first time. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply. "This isn't where it ends," he whispered. "It's where it begins again." Days later, he announced it publicly, not a retirement, but a redirection. He would step back for a season to focus fully on the Light Network. The world reacted with shock, disbelief, admiration. Some said he was walking away from greatness. Others said he was walking toward it. Giannis didn't read the headlines. He was already on a flight to Athens. When he landed, the air was warm and the sea shimmered in the distance. As the car drove through the city, he noticed something he hadn't seen before. Basketball courts glowing on rooftops, painted on school grounds, even beside narrow alleys. Each one alive, filled with laughter. The driver pointed out the window. "They call them Giannis lights now." Giannis shook his head. "No," he said softly. "They're our lights." He arrived at the new Light Academy, the Foundation's global hub built where his first gym once stood. Hundreds of kids greeted him, cheering, waving handmade signs. Among them stood Nikos, now in his 20s, tall, confident, with the same fire in his eyes. When the noise died down, Giannis stepped forward to speak. He didn't bring a microphone. His voice didn't need one. "I came here to say thank you," he began. "Because every time I thought I was teaching you how to dream, you were actually teaching me how to see." The children listened, silent. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. "When I was your age," he continued, I thought basketball would save me. But it wasn't the game. It was the people who believed before I did. The ones who saw me when I was invisible. And I learned something. When you carry light, you don't have to shout. The world finds you anyway. He smiled, his eyes wet. And now I think it's time to let go, so you can carry it further. As the sun began to set over Athens, the first lights of the academy flickered on, one by one, until the courtyard glowed like the heart of the city itself. Giannis stood there, watching, a gentle pride blooming in his chest. Nikos joined him. Do you ever miss it? The roar, the trophies, the stage? Giannis looked at the horizon, where the gold of sunset met the blue of the sea. No, he said, because I'm still playing. I just changed courts. They laughed together, mentor and student past and future, their silhouettes merging with the light that now belonged to everyone. Later that night, Giannis walked alone through the streets of Sepolia. He stopped beneath the same flickering lamp where, years ago, he had first met a boy chasing dreams through darkness. The lamp still buzzed faintly, but this time it didn't flicker. It burned steady, strong. He looked up at it, then whispered, "Thank you, not to the light, but to the boy he once was, the one who refused to quit, even when the world couldn't see him." He took a deep breath, smiled, and walked away, leaving the glow behind him to warm the city he loved. And somewhere, in that quiet corner of Athens, a new kid picked up a basketball. He dribbled, missed, laughed, and tried again. Above him, the streetlight hummed softly, unwavering. Because once someone turns on the light, darkness never truly returns.